Meet Rob Nelson, talk show host.
Because you got the 70s thing going there. I got someone's underwear.
Robert Kennedy, thanks for taking a minute. Simple question.
Tucker, it's good to see you. Listen,
you're a Bitcoin maximalist. You're Bitcoin forever.
I hate this central bank digital currency.
Hey, I don't have all the answers, but together, I know we can find them.
all right, hey everybody, welcome to the show. Happy Wednesday. David Goxton joins me on Wednesdays. He might not be here. He's not here right now. I have a theory for this. I think he knew that today would be the day he couldn't defend any more that that we're winning this situation in Iran. So I'm going to just do this by myself. I wish David was here to actually go at it with me. And I'm going to talk about some other things too, Beijing being among them. I want to be really clear, since I don't have David to argue with. I am not adopting the Democrats, like, let's just root against America policy. I'm the opposite. I am rooting for this country, and I am rooting for us to win at everything we do. And I loved, one of the things I liked about Trump 1 and Trump 2 is that he came in on a mission to overturn the apple cart, so to speak, to, like, you know, just, I've worked in DC. I mean, I worked in DC for a long time. I worked inside a White House. It's been dysfunctional for decades, and it's broken, and it's not representing the American people. None of it is. The overbloated government agencies aren't. The way the three branches of power work together isn't. I'm not saying they're that structure was a bad idea, but it's not working. Congress is a complete and utter failure. Our intelligence community is a scam. I mean, I don't know how much they're spying on us. I know during COVID, they were all in on all of it. I think they were just scooping up as much information and data as they could get on Americans, and let's test it out and see how much you can control people. And then they're all coming out, all these intelligence leaders in the intelligence community coming out and saying there's no evidence that the virus came from a Wuhan lab. What are they, absolutely stupid? No, they knew what they were doing. They're not that stupid. I mean, they may be sort of dumb, but no, that was intentional. They wanted to spin a different story. I mean, I'm not a rocket scientist, but it's pretty obvious it came from the Wuhan labs. I mean, geez, put most of the evidence together. What's the most likely outcome? And then choose the opposite. The most likely outcome is not that a lab working on the very kind of thing that would create a coronavirus would possibly leak that accidentally or intentionally into the atmosphere, and it would start a pandemic. The more likely answer is no, it came from a fish market. Okay, from a rat or a bat or whatever. I mean, it's like, wow. But they all knew. My point is, the intelligence community is so corrupt, and they've been spying on us. And whether it's James Comey or whoever, like I so distrust the CIA, the FBI. FBI is in the middle. And I'm not saying all the people who work there, but overall, the intelligence community has got a whole lot of black marks on it and has for a long time, especially when you go higher up the ladder. Now, I think Trump came in and tried to fix that. What got him multiple times. So once he went after them, they're like, we get rid of you. Either we kill you or we get you out of office or we lock you up in jail. Well, they tried all three. I don't know if they were behind the assassination attempts, but wouldn't surprise me if they were. Wouldn't surprise me if they tried to put up others. They definitely tried to get him out of office. Tried that multiple ways from Sunday, including just making the Russian collusion hoax, making the whole thing up, again, which all the intelligence community is like, yes, it's credible evidence that this is collusion with Russia. It was all bullshit. And then the third one, tried to put him in jail, which after he was out, they tried to make sure he could never run again. Well, he beat them at that. And I give him huge credit for that. And whether he has a big ego or he wants to be remembered as the guy who did blank, blank, or blank, I don't really care. I care that he went after the institutions and he didn't stop. Even when they tried to take him down, he just kept hammering away at it. I give him huge credit for that. Is there a little retribution going on? Absolutely. Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't want some retribution from these people who try to destroy your entire world, your presidency, your life, your family, all of it, even perhaps your life itself? And you're not going to get retribution? You're not going to want to get a little payback when you get back in power against all odds, and now you can actually turn it around on them? Of course you are. And they would do the exact same thing. So let's stop pretending. If you're on the left, let's stop pretending Trump's on a retribution campaign. Retribution to his political opponents for what the political opponents did to him. And let's be honest, this started on the other side, not on the right side, on the left side. This started during, look what happened. People who spoke out against, I know many of those people spoke out on the wrong side on COVID stuff or on the wrong side on gender issues or whatever. You get shut down, fired, kicked out, publicly humiliated, and then politically, well, you don't get a better example than how they went after Trump. I mean, you're not like the guy, but they just made crap up. I mean, they made up a whole Russian collusion hoax. Then they got FISA warrants to kind of gloss over it and make it look like it was okay. And then they planted and created stuff. Even when they knew it was coming from Hillary Clinton's campaign, they kept going. Hunter Biden, no laptop, nothing to see here. We don't know if the laptop's real. Really? They knew within 24 hours it was real. So I say all that because I think that we are losing this situation in Iran right now. And I think Iran knows that. And this is where David and I would have these arguments. I wish he could be here to join in. But we set pretty clear goals. We wanted to decimate their military infrastructure. We wanted to prevent them from ever having a nuclear weapon. We did it twice. First time, we took out nuclear facilities. Supposedly, we completely took them out. According to President Trump, they were decimated. Well, they weren't. How do we know that? Well, one, because we had to go back in again in Operation Epic Fury because they were about to have a nuclear weapon again. Remember, we just said we took it out. So how can they be about to have it? Well, we didn't fully take it out, and they're crafty, and it was good to go in a second time. I'm not sure exactly who motivated who to do it. I don't know if Netanyahu talked Trump into it or not. Either way, to me, it was a good move. Go in and finish this cockroach of a regime off. Finish these, get rid of these. First of all, there are 90 million people living in oppression under them. Secondly, they're exporting terror everywhere they can, all around the globe. They kill Americans. They kill anybody who's in the West, and they want us all dead and gone. Jews and Americans and anyone in the Western society, all dead and gone. They lie, they cheat, they don't honor their agreements. Nothing they've said is true, and it's been going on for decades. So yeah, like, go finish the job. Yes. I think we got in there, thought we'd done enough damage that they would bend. I think, they realized they kept taking out people in the regime. They just kept popping up a new one. I mean, nobody can convince me there's been a regime change. There hasn't. There's been a leadership change. Same regime, different leaders. Are they as good? I don't know. In some ways, I think they're maybe even more hardline, but same regime. Doing its same old things. So we talk about a ceasefire, and the terms are, well, most ceasefires are you don't shoot at each other. That's why it's called a ceasefire. And the Strait of Hormuz has to be open. Well, what's happened is Iran keeps shooting. Shot at the United Arab Emirates the other day. Shot at three of our Navy destroyers. I don't care about J.D. Vance or anyone or Pete Hegseth, Secretary of War, whatever, saying they didn't cause any damage. Who cares? They shot at them. Like, they literally tried to shoot at our military ships in a ceasefire, huh? I think we should have turned around and stomped them into the ground. Why didn't we? Why is it okay that the Strait of Hormuz is not only not open, but now they're running hundreds of these little, jet boats around in there, and swarms, as they call it, and completely paralyzing traffic going through. They've also probably mined it. So, and now they've said the Strait of Hormuz is bigger than it was. Suddenly it's expanded to a bigger space, which Iran now claims is its. It's allowed to control it. It's allowed to charge for it. It owns the international water space that it didn't own and never will own. To me, these are pretty clear violations for our ceasefire. Don't need a whole lot more. Actually, could do with a whole lot less. Why do we keep saying we're in serious negotiations? Well, we know what the last round of those looked like. We know Trump came out and admitted, I'm so unhappy with what they proposed, because the basic elements, no matter where you look, you can kind of see what they're saying they offered. They offered a great deal. We'll end the war. You lift sanctions on us, release funds, billions of dollars of funds that we've blocked, and then you give us war reparations, and you stay out of the Strait of Hormuz. Oh, and we'll talk about nuclear enrichment stuff another time. The whole reason we went in there. That's the terms? But no, we're still in serious negotiations, because I've said this and I'll keep saying it. This administration does not want to go back. The military operation was successful, not as successful as we thought, right? It's become apparent they have more left than we thought they had. I mean, everyone keeps telling me they don't have any more missiles left. And what are they shooting at people with? They're shooting missiles. They got drones. They got missiles. They got ballistic launchers still. They got enriched uranium, not quite at weapons level, enough to make like 20 nuclear bombs sitting down buried in Fordo where no one can get to it. It was a horrible deal, but I don't think we want to go back for one of two reasons. Politically, didn't go well the first time. It's not going to go better the second time. And for everything else they are and they're not, they're also politicians. And they know that they are already at risk of tanking the midterms. And Trump's got to know if they tank the midterms completely, he's likely to get impeached and convicted. So he wouldn't even probably finish the job. So they don't want to go back. And Iran knows we don't want to go back militarily. And I'm not even sure if we did what it would exactly accomplish at this point. I mean, we don't want to put boots on the ground. I don't know how much more we could do. I mean, could we blow their infrastructure apart? Yeah. Could take out Karg Island. Yeah. We could take out bridges and power plants and all that. I don't know. It would cripple them. It would destroy their economy. I don't know. I don't know if it would get rid of this regime. I don't know. They're out like cockroaches. I don't know if they'd just hide underground and be like, it's fine. We got enough to keep us afloat. Forget about the other 90 million people. I'm not sure. The people in Iran aren't in a good position to rise up. They don't have weapons. They don't even have internet. They can't even communicate, right? They can't even organize a revolution. So it's tough. I think we're in a bind. I think we thought Iran would cave, and Iran has no intention of caving. And I think they think they're getting stronger by the day, and they'll take any amount of damage, and they'll make any agreement and lie about it and say it and then not do it and stall. Because for them, the goal is to stall. The goal isn't to win. They're not going to beat us. That's when people say we lost. We didn't lose. They can't beat us. We can just not get what we want. And the longer they can stall, they're not stupid, the closer they get to the midterms in our country. And if those midterms go the way I think they're going to go, be tough on Trump, tough on the Republicans. Iran's strategy might just literally be to wait as long as possible. Try to rebuild, try to hemorrhage off the wounds, get some aid from China, Russia, stall, drag it out as long as possible. I mean, they don't win. They don't ever win. It's like I've said before. There's a famous saying in the Revolutionary War where a general said, it was a British general actually, said the Americans don't actually need to win. They just need to outlast us. We didn't actually beat England. We just outlasted them. We just wore them down to where they were like enough. We didn't go take over England. We won, but not in the way you classically think of winning. Not like the way World War II or World War I ended. We just wore the British out to where it wasn't worth it to them anymore to stay. They were taking, it was too much damages, it was costing them too much politically. It was costing a lot of money. They were losing the fight anyway. They were like, forget it. Go the Americans, go be the Americans. We'll come back and try to get them in 1812. Try to burn the White House down. I'm laughing because they almost did. People forget we had another war with England, right? It wasn't that much later, 30 years later. So yeah, I think sadly we are not winning the war. We're not losing it, but we're not winning what we wanted. And I don't know how long this game goes on. I'm really concerned that Trump comes back with an unacceptable deal and tries to make it sound like it's a good one. So far, he hasn't. So far, he's holding firm to what, because I think the Iranians won't even give him something close. I think that's where they're screwed up. It's like, I don't even think they're trying to get a deal. I think they're literally going to just ask for sure, we'll release sanctions, we'll release money, that billions of dollars of money, and we'll pay you war damages. And you can control the strait, and we don't talk about nukes. How could we ever accept that deal? I'm scared we're going to release the money and lift the sanctions in exchange for them promising to let us look, to check in on their nuke stuff and that they won't develop anymore. That won't be good because they will, and they will use that money to keep doing exactly what they're doing. And the only outcome is they give us that uranium. To me. You can't settle for anything less. And if Trump comes back and says, well, they're going to promise to do, boy, their promises have never been worth anything. That's apparent. So hoping that doesn't happen, hoping he doesn't settle for that just to get out of this, that he kind of goes, nope, but they're stalling. And the Iranians, I think, are overplaying their hand, but they also know they can keep stalling this and they can keep stirring up trouble. And we're not going to, by now, with them doing all the crap they're doing in the Strait of Hormuz with their little swarms and all that, we should be literally like, that's it. Boom. We're taking out all of them. But we don't take out all their little boats, and we don't suddenly drop bombs on their infrastructure. And they know that. They know they can get away with it. And they are getting away with it. And they just keep pushing the line. Now, that could ultimately backfire on them, because I don't think they're going to come up with a reasonable, I think the hardliners don't want a reasonable solution. So they're just going to keep asking for the ultimate thing, which we can't give them, and try to humiliate and embarrass us and show that we can't win, which could backfire against them, because I do think there's a point where Trump goes, enough. I'm hoping there is, but I'm not sure at that point what the, if Landy or David was here, maybe they could make the case for what we do in that situation, because I'm not sure just blowing up bridges and power plants would actually change that. Maybe it would. And there's no appetite to put American boots on the ground, which is probably what it would take to get rid of the regime, to really get them out. It would take that to get the uranium, which again, they could theoretically let us get. But if they said no, how do we actually forcibly get it? You have to put boots on the ground. I mean, a bunch of soldiers are going to die. A bunch of U.S. soldiers are going to die. And there is not an appetite for that right now. Absolutely zero. Politically, zero appetite. So there we have that. So that's the Iran story, told without my good friend David here to argue back and defend it. But I think, again, I said David probably didn't want to show up today because he knew there were ultimately, at a certain point, you can't argue anymore. Like, it just keeps going the other way. Like, we keep saying we're getting close to a deal, and they keep doing horrible things. I mean, now they're literally shutting the Strait of Hormuz down with their swarm boats, hundreds of them going everywhere. Okay, how is that not violating what we agreed to? They're still shooting at people. They shot at the UAE last week. Like, they're not done doing it. Where is the evidence that we're moving forward, except that these amorphous talks where what we hear they're offering is this absurd? Even Trump said it. It's absurd what they're offering, not even willing to consider it. So, but we're so close to a deal. We're not so close to a deal. And Iran knows that. And I don't think Iran wants to be close to a deal. I think, like I said, they have no interest in ending this quickly. They would like it to drag on as long as possible and be as humiliating as possible and as destructive as possible for us, while hoping that somehow they can slowly keep something alive and rebuild and rebuild and rebuild, and then go back to business as usual. Don't see that as a win for us right now. And I've said before, gas prices being at, Tennessee gas prices are over $4. Before this, they were like $2.40. California, forget about it. It's like $7, $8, whatever. It's crazy. That bothers people. It starts taking a toll on people, and they feel price surges price creep going everywhere. And, energy costs go up, other costs go up. So that's not good. That doesn't bode well, again, for the midterms. I don't want to see the Democrats just sweep Congress in the midterms. I guarantee the first thing they'll do if they do that is they'll end the filibuster, and they'll try to pass everything they can. Now, they won't be able to get much of it past Trump, and they probably won't have a big enough majority to override a veto. So that'll be good. We'll just be in another stalemate. But they would be able to impeach him. And they would be able to convict him if they control the Senate. Oh, Lord. I'm not liking that scenario at all. Not liking that scenario one bit. Although I would say this, you impeach Trump, you get Vance. So at least you don't get Kamala Harris. Although I think she's planning on running again. Woman has no sense of her lack of political appeal to people. Zero sense. She still thinks she lost an election because she didn't have enough time to prepare. It's like, you've been preparing for 4 years and scheming about it probably for a year before they made the announcement, and putting everything in place just in case Joe got yanked, which he did, and you got the call, time to step in. Even you didn't have time to prepare, and you raised more money than God, and you still lost because you're a horrible, horrible messenger with no message. Like, can't get worse than that. A horrible messenger with no message. It's like as bad as it gets. Be a horrible messenger with a good message, you'd have a shot. You could be have a bad message and be a good messenger, you'd have a shot. Be a horrible messenger with no message, or literally not even a bad message, just no message. I think she's going to run again. So is Gavin. Well, he hasn't run yet, but he's going to Anyway, it'll all be interesting to see how it plays out. I don't have a good feeling though. And again, I don't think the country benefits when Democrats now take over. We go back in the spiral. Trump's president till they impeach him, but a Republican's president till 2028. Dems control both houses of Congress. Nothing gets done. It's just we're basically running for the presidency the minute the election's over in the fall. And the American people just keep paying the price. And I watched the price we paid during COVID, and that was bad. That was a bad, bad price. We paid a massive price. And I don't just mean in terms of money. I mean, not just in terms of lost productivity and lost lives and stupid decisions. I'm talking about lost freedoms. I'm talking about forcing people to get vaccinated. I'm talking about kids not going to school for a year. Like, wow. And making the entire society feel like 1984. What the F? Like, talk about losses. That's what, I know Trump was the beginning of that. He gets a little blame, but most of that was under Biden. All right, let's talk about China. So I love the fact that Trump, and on a happy note, I love the fact that Trump's gone to China with a bunch of CEOs on Air Force One. I think this will send a great message. Trump's great at giving. Trump's a great messenger. People hate him, but you know what? You can hate him, but he's really good at his message. That's why some people hate him, because he is really good at it. And the message, he's good at delivering it. He's good at delivering a message. Whether you like the message or not, he's good at it. And he knows how to make a statement. He gets the value of symbolism. He gets the value of showmanship. It's not an accident that he's packed up the plane with a bunch of American CEOs to fly into Beijing. It's sort of like bringing America's top corporate people on the plane with me. We're essentially taking it on the road and telling you, China, this is where the power is. This is where the power in business is. Now, it's a great opportunity for everyone to make deals and all that, and I'm sure China's looking forward to it. But it's a power statement. It's an absolute power statement to pack the plane with a bunch of big U.S. CEOs. We are the most mighty economy in the world. These are the titans of industry, and they're on Air Force One with me, President Trump, as we fly into Beijing. I think it's fantastic. I love it. I love the stuff he does around the symbolic stuff he does around trips and travel, and even the White House reconstructing the ballroom, all of it. I wasn't a fan of him putting his name on the Kennedy Center. That seemed like a little over the top and a little egomaniacal. But, or at least put your name second. But overall, he likes to put his name on everything. It would be the Trump White House. Put a plaque on the Trump White House. But he's probably thought about it. Should we call it the Trump White House? It is technically right now the Trump White House. So for 4 years, it is. I'm really psyched about seeing what happens in Beijing. Here's what I'm concerned about before we go. I'm concerned that China is watching this in Iran and is realizing the limits to U.S. power are not in our weapons. They're in our political resolve, and they've just seen what happened. Xi Jinping has got to be thinking, if I invade Taiwan, there's no way the U.S. really tries to stop me. They're not going to put troops on the ground. They're not going to want to see lives lost. They might have a lot of firepower, but not as much as we have, and they're farther away. And they can use bases in Japan or whatever, but he's looking, going, I can do this. And the U.S. won't be able to stop me. They might not be able to physically if they wanted to, but they won't even really try very hard. They'll just kind of we're not getting in another thing here. I don't think what's happening in Iran is making us look good to the Putins and the Xi Jinpings, who are like totalitarian people wanting to take over more territory and land. Again, not because we're not powerful, because there's a limit to how we'll deploy that power. And I think to end where I started, I think we thought we'd be in and out in Iran pretty quickly, and it would be over because of the sheer force of our military power, it was crazy. But that didn't kill them off. It just destroyed a lot of their military. Didn't stop them. Didn't take enough of it. Didn't finish off the regime. Didn't take enough of. They still have launchers. They still have weapons. They still have uranium close to being weapons grade. They still got those little boats swarming everywhere, shooting at everything, and completely stopping, a fifth of the oil's energy from moving through. I think, China's watching going, America's got a lot of military might, but it's not going to have the willpower, the political ability to stop us. Won't surprise me if he makes a move on Taiwan in the next 12 months. Heck, wouldn't surprise me if he did it while Trump was there, just as remember when Trump did that when Xi Jinping was in Washington, like right at their dinner during dessert? It's like, oh, by the way, look what I just had happen while we were eating. I don't know. I do think China's going to make a move on Taiwan in some way, shape, or form sooner rather than later. So it's a complicated, ugly, beat-up world, isn't it? It's a happy Wednesday. It's a happy, happy Wednesday. I miss David being here. I do. Let's hope Marco Rubio's right that China's going to help us defuse the Iran standoff. Maybe they will. It is a standoff, though. And again, I don't think it's played out exactly by any means the way we wanted it to. I know Landy will argue with me, but Landy's not here to argue. David will argue with me, but David's not here to argue. So I get to say what I want. Maybe nobody's watching, but I don't care. Thanks for checking in, watching. Hopefully I'll be on David's show on Friday. He'll hopefully come back on next Wednesday. David, you don't have to be afraid. It's okay, man. You can come on and say, you can say, you know what, Rob, you're probably right about this is not going quite how we want right now. Let's hope we can get it there. But I want to be clear. I want us to win. I'm not one of these people like rooting for us to fail. I'm pissed that we haven't won this in the way we should, in the way I want us to. And I'm the one that said I feel like we should go back and light them up again. Maybe that makes me a warmonger, but I'm a fan of that. I want to stomp out that regime till they're done. And I was happy Trump did it, even if it meant prices went up and energy went up and all of that. Like, it's worth it. I've been saying for 20 years, Iran just can't have a nuclear weapon. And they just keep getting closer to having one. And if we let them up, they will keep trying. And they will take that 60%, enriched to weapons grade to 90%. They'll take it and get it there. And then all bets are off. That can't happen. I'm Rob Nelson. Thanks for watching.
Meet Rob Nelson, talk show host.
Because you got the 70s thing going there. I got someone's underwear.
Robert Kennedy, thanks for taking a minute. Simple question.
Tucker,
It's good to see you. Listen,
if you're a Bitcoin maximalist, you're a